Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to filter through some really powerful ideas and give you the core wisdom you can actually use. Today, we're digging into a book that's really changed the game for a lot of people when it comes to personal change. James Clear's Atomic Habits. We're talking about how it impacts, your health, career, money, even just how you think. So our mission here is to unpack how these tiny, almost invisible actions can lead to massive life changes. Really practical stuff you can start with, like today.
Yeah, what's really fascinating about Atomic Habits is how it kind of flips the script on how we usually think about success. We often think, go big, make these huge leaps. But Clear argues really convincingly that lasting change, the real deal, it doesn't come from those big flashy moments. It's built on these small, consistent, almost quiet actions. Like think compound interest, but for yourself. If you improve just 1% every day, just 1% by the end of the year, you're not just a bit better. You're like 37 times better. It's wild when you think about it.
Wow, 37 times from just 1% a day. That really blows your mind. It definitely pushes back against that urge we all have to find the one big fix, the magic bullet. And this idea, the compounding gains, it reminds me of that British cycling story. They weren't looking for one silver bullet, were they?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Their whole strategy was revolutionary because it was so, well, almost ordinary in the details. They called it the aggregation of marginal gains.
Mm.
Basically, looking everywhere for tiny improvements. So they looked at, the bike seats, the aerodynamics of the uniforms, even things like the best massage gel or how the riders slept, which pillows, which mattresses. Individually, none of these things seem like a big deal, right? Almost forgettable. But add them all up, let them compound. That's what led to all those Olympic medals and Tour de France wins.
It's such a perfect illustration of Clear's point that, quote, success is not a one-time explosion. It's slow, invisible improvement that suddenly shows results. And that suddenly shows results part is key, I think, because you often don't see anything outrageous and then bam. Okay, so if these small, consistent steps are the way to go, why do so many of us get stuck just focusing on the big outcome? We set these goals, lose 20 pounds, get rich, whatever, but then nothing happens or we fall off track. What's the block there? What does Clear say?
That's a really central question, isn't it? And it digs into why New Year's resolutions often just fizzle out. Clear's big insight is that we shouldn't just stare at the goal. We need to focus on the system that gets us there. A goal is the result you want. Okay, lose the weight, save the money. But the system, that's your collection of daily habits, the process that actually leads to the result. So if you want to lose weight, just saying it isn't a system. The system is maybe walking 20 minutes every day after dinner or prepping healthy lunches on Sunday. That's the engine. Want to save money? The system could be automatically transferring a small amount after every paycheck or tracking your spending daily. It's the doing.
Ah, okay. So the goal is the what, but the system is the how. The actual mechanics of getting there. That makes a ton of sense. And Clear points out some specific problems with being only goal-focused.
Yeah, he lays out four main issues. First one, and this is kind of sobering, winners and losers often have the exact same goals. Think about the Olympics. Everyone there wants the gold medal. Loads of businesses want to be number one. The goal itself doesn't separate them. It's the system, the daily grind, the preparation that's the difference maker. Second, hitting a goal is often just temporary. You hit your target weight, maybe you celebrate. But if you haven't actually changed the underlying habits around eating and moving, guess what? The weight usually comes back. The root issue wasn't solved.
That really hits home, the sustainability factor. You reach the summit, but if you didn't build the base camp right, you just slide back down.
Exactly. Third problem, goals can kind of mess with your happiness. We do this thing where we say, I'll be happy when I lose the weight, when I get the promotion, when I pay off the debt. So happiness becomes this future thing, always tied to achieving the goal instead of something you can feel along the way. And finally, number 4, goals by themselves don't really help you long term. A strong system does. Systems allow for continuous improvement, adapting even after you've hit some initial target.
Which brings us right back to that killer quote from the book. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
It's a bit blunt, maybe, but when you really get it, it's also kind of freeing. It tells you where to put your energy. Okay, so we get it. Systems are crucial. But how do you actually build a good system? This is where Clear gives us that really practical framework, right? The 4 steps. Cue, craving, response, reward. And these become the basis for his 4 laws of behavior change. Let's break those down. Right. The first law is make it obvious. This is all about setting up your environment so the good habit is just right there.
Yeah.
Hard to miss. And you want to make the bad habits kind of invisible, or at least harder to get to. So if you want to read more, don't just vaguely hope you'll do it. Make a super specific plan. Like, after I brush my teeth at night, I will read one page. Or, literally put the book on your pillow. Can't miss it. Want to exercise in the morning? Put your running shoes and workout clothes right by the bed. Reduce that friction. Make the cue unmissable.
Okay, visual cues, specific plans. Got it. Then the second law, make it attractive. This sounds like we're trying to, like, trick our brain into wanting the good stuff.
Huh? Yeah, kind of. Our brains love rewards. They're wired for it. So you make the new habit appealing by connecting it to something you already enjoy. This is where habit stacking is super useful. You stack the new habit you want onto an existing habit you already like doing. Like your example, after I pour my morning coffee something you enjoy, I will meditate for 1 minute. The pleasure of the coffee sort of bleeds over, makes the meditation feel more natural, less like a chore.
That's smart, leveraging routines you already have. And it's not just about personal enjoyment, is it? He talks about the social side, too.
Oh, absolutely. Our environment, especially the people in it, hugely shapes our behavior. We're social animals. We tend to adopt the norms of our tribe. So if you want to build a certain habit, hang out with people for whom that habit is just normal. Want to exercise more? Join a gym class or a running group. Want to read more? Join a book club. Seeing others do it makes it seem achievable and, frankly, more attractive. It normalizes it.
Right, surround yourself with the behavior you want. Okay, that leads us to law number 3. Make it easy. Now, this one feels a bit counterintuitive, especially if you're ambitious. We often think we need to go all out right from the start. But Clear says, no, focus on consistency first. Make it super simple. And that's where the 2-minute rule comes in. Break the habit down into something ridiculously small, something you can do in 2 minutes or less. So instead of go for a 30-minute run is put on my running shoes. Instead of write 1,000 words is open my laptop and write 1 sentence. Why is that so effective?
Because the hardest part of any new habit is just getting started. Inertia is powerful. The 2-minute rule basically eliminates that initial resistance. It's so small, so easy, you can't really argue yourself out of it. The goal isn't the big outcome initially, it's just showing up, building the habit of starting. And the funny thing is, once you've started, once you've done those easy first 2 minutes, it's much easier to keep going. Momentum builds. Like the book says, pretty much you can build any habit if the first 2 minutes are easy. It's about lowering that activation energy.
Love that. Just show up. Okay, and the final piece, the 4th law. Make it satisfying. Our brains want that immediate payoff, right? But good habits like exercise or saving money, the big rewards are often way down the line. So how do you bridge that gap? How do you make the habit feel good now?
You got to manufacture some kind of immediate win, some little hit of satisfaction. A super simple but really effective way is just tracking your habit. Like getting a calendar and putting a big X on every day you do the thing. Seeing that chain of X's grow feels good. It's visual proof of progress. It's a reward in itself, and you don't want to break the chain. That little dopamine hit reinforces the behavior. And the flip side works too. For breaking bad habits, you want to make the immediate consequence unsatisfying, maybe even a little painful. Public accountability can work here. Tell people your goal. Knowing you might have to admit you slipped up could be a powerful, immediate deterrent. So we've got these 4 laws, which are really practical tools, but then Clear takes it a step further deeper with this idea of identity-based habits. And this, I think, is where the really profound long-term change happens. It's shifting your focus from what you want to achieve, like I want to run a marathon, to who you want to become, as in, I am a runner.
Right. That shift from outcome to identity, it sounds subtle, but you're saying it's a huge deal for making habits stick. How does that work?
It changes the whole game because it ties your actions directly to your sense of self. Your habits stop being just things you do, and they become evidence of who you are. Every time you lace up your shoes and go for that run, even a short one, you're casting a vote. You're telling yourself, yep, I'm the kind of person who runs, I'm a runner. And conversely, when you skip it, you're sort of voting against that identity.
And that's that really powerful line. Every time you do a habit, you're voting for the kind of person you want to become.
Exactly. It flips the usual process. Instead of trying to force behaviors to get a result, you focus on believing in the identity first. Once you truly start to see yourself as a healthy person or a reader or someone who finishes what they start, the actions that align with that identity feel more natural, more authentic, less like effort, more like just being you. That internal belief becomes the ultimate driver. It's not about willpower anymore. It's about acting in alignment with who you believe you are.
Okay, so let's try and wrap up this deep dive into atomic habits. We've covered some really powerful ground here. First, the big takeaway. Tiny, consistent actions, those atomic habits, they compound over time to produce massive results. It's about patience and that 1% idea. Second, that critical shift. Focus less on just the goal, the outcome, and more on building the system, the daily process that gets you there. Remember, you fall to the level of your systems. Then we got practical with the four laws. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. Those are like your toolkit for building good habits and breaking bad ones. And finally, that deeper level, aligning your habits with your identity, focusing not just on doing, but on becoming the kind of person you want to be, casting those daily votes for your future self. Really, if you take one thing away from atomic habits in our chat today, it's probably this. If you're patient, small steps every day will give you big results. That's the power of atomic habits. So maybe just think about one tiny thing, one atomic step you could take today, right now even. Just one small vote for the person you're aiming to become.
Yeah, and as you start thinking about those small steps, here's a final thought, kind of an analogy from the book that sticks with me. Think about an ice cube in a cold room. You raise the temperature, 25 degrees, 28, 30, 31 degrees Celsius, and outwardly, nothing seems to be happening. The ice is still ice. But then you hit 32 degrees, just one more degree, and suddenly, breakthrough. The ice starts to melt. A lot of our efforts, our habits, they can feel like that. You put in the work day after day, and it feels like nothing's changing on the surface. It's still 31 degrees, but you keep going. You stay consistent. And then eventually, maybe sooner than you think, you hit that tipping point, that 32 degrees, and things start to visibly transform. So the question to maybe mull over is, what seemingly invisible changes, what tiny increases in temperature are you making today that, if you just keep at it, will lead to your own breakthrough moment?